you open up a new project, and here we're just gonna title it let's just say tutorial, right? Tutorial. Okay, don't worry about all this stuff right now. You're just beginning. You just want to get going, right? So the thing here with Premiere Pro, what happens, why it gets a lot of people, why a lot of people are intimidated when they're starting Premiere Pro, is because when they start, they see this interface and they're like, what's all this? You know, all this looks complicated to somebody who's just learning how to edit a video. You know, people who are just coming from, like, maybe they're YouTubers, or maybe, you know, just somebody new and they want to learn how to edit a video. This looks complicated, believe it or not. If you don't know something, it looks complicated until you do it, right? Like riding a bike is complicated to somebody who doesn't know how to ride a bike. To a kid, it's complicated, but once they ride a bike, balance becomes like second nature. Like, oh, you don't know how to ride a bike? But before you do something, it looks complicated. So what you want to do, what I want to do for you guys, is I want to simplify it for you. So the first things that you need to do as a beginner is you need to simplify the interface, because this right here, this whole thing is called an interface. So this is what you see when you first get to Premiere. You see this interface, you see all these different tabs up here. You're like, oh, what is this? This one and this one right here, these are my custom workflows. All these stuff here, like learning, all these tabs up here, these are all, like, you know, different workflows that you have to go through. So like the assembly is where you assemble your clips and put them on the timeline, and then you start editing it, and then you start coloring it, and then you start adding effects, and then you work on the audio, and then if you have any graphics, stuff like that, until you publish it. But this whole thing looks too complicated for somebody who's just learning Premiere Pro. So what I want to do, the best thing for you to do if you're learning Premiere Pro, is go here on Window, go to Workspaces here, and just go to All Panels. Okay, click this one, All Panels. So once you go to All Panels, it's going to bring up all the panels in Premiere Pro, everything, right? So what you want to do is you want to start customizing the workflow. So when you customize the workflow, you simplify it. You make it easy. You just have, what I want you to do is just have the essentials. Just have the basics. Because with anything in life, once you get the basics, you advance. You start looking at something, it gets simplified. Like when you walk into a cockpit, into a plane, and you see all those buttons and you're like, damn, this is so crazy, I can't fly a plane. But honestly, there's just a few buttons in there that you need to learn to order to bring that thing up and to make it steady, and just a few things you need to learn to land that thing. Just basics. Once you just learn the basics, you can now start learning the other stuff, like how to do transitions, crazy editing techniques, like slowing down things, like doing this, doing that. But when you're first starting to learn a software, you just need the basics. Just as in a plane, you just need the basics. Because when you go back to when planes were first invented, all they wanted to do was get airborne, right? And once they figured out how to get airborne, next thing was to keep that thing in the air. Next thing was to land. Just the basics is all you need in order to get something going, in order to achieve something. The basics, people, the basics. Okay, so the basics here, what I would do if